prayer was submitted to me for the agenda from the people. So we're going to pray. And I'm reading this. I didn't write it. Heavenly Father, we humbly come before you as one man, one voice, not as Republicans or Democrats, but as the lawful, united body politic of this community. We thank you that all power in heaven and on earth is yours, and that you have given the earth to mankind to be faithful stewards. We thank you for this nation, formed by the people through your wisdom and authority. We thank you for our founders and ancestors who established safeguards, such as township meetings, should government ever cease to serve its rightful purpose, to protect the lives, liberties, and property of the people. Your word declares that you have given us authority, in law terms, to bind on earth what shall be bound in heaven, and to loose on earth what shall be loosed in heaven. You promise that where two or more are gathered in your name, there you are in the midst of us. So today, Lord, we gather in your name as a local, lawful assembly, stepping out in faith and works to reclaim the just powers of the people reserved in our foundational instruments, not in rebellion against lawful government, but in truth of what is written in our constitutions, because the government we created has gone beyond the limitations of law and has turned a deaf ear to the people that created it. We ask you to embolden any faithful governmental servants to acknowledge the truth of how our government is supposed to function and bring conviction to those who have been taught to listen to others' voices instead of the voice of the people. You are not the author of confusion, but of peace. Open our ears and our hearts to recognize truth when it is spoken. Embolden us to stand united as one voice, one man, one people, to protect this community you have entrusted to us. Forgive us for allowing our servants to wield our authority and go beyond the authority we granted for so long without calling it into question. Let the faith and works of this day ignite brush fires of liberty throughout our state and land, calling our neighbors and countrymen to unite locally in peace and guard our communities from danger and destruction. May everything be done decently and in order, according to your word and the fundamental law. Let liberty once again be proclaimed throughout this land as we return to the fundamental truths and principles of our constitutions and laws. We appeal to heaven for your divine providence and wisdom. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Man, that is like... that's like what you dream of as a little girl, right? Being able to pray at a public meeting. Okay, but beyond that, it is my duty as the clerk of Township to help the people elect a moderator for this meeting. So I'm going to open the floor for nominations, and if you'd like to nominate, just make sure you say your name so I can write that down. Jonathan Henderson nominates Joseph McElroy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Dan Miller. Are there any other nominations? After hearing none, I'd like to close by motion. So is there a motion to close the nominations?
Make a motion to close the nominations.
And your name is?
Michael Burnett.
Michael Burnett. Okay, is there a second? Okay. That is seconded by Joshua McElroy. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll vote to close nominations. So all in favor of closing the nominations for moderator, raise your green card.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Oh, check in with me after the meeting.
All right.
28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36.
Okay, well, we'll say 36. All opposed, same sign? Great. Motion carries. Mr. Joseph McElroy, would you come take the oath? Oh, and we need a chair. Well, hey, I'm the clerk. Let me do my job.
Travel with chair?
All right. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of moderator
discharge the duties of moderator
at this town meeting
at this town meeting
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
Great. Can you sign that for me? All right. Great. Oh, I didn't call for a vote for him. Hey, if you want to vote for him to be the moderator, could you raise that green card again really quick? I'm so sorry. I think that's 53. All opposed, same sign? Great, thank you. Motion carries. Yeah, you're in charge of the meeting now, so I guess.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Here. Okay, we need to make a motion. Somebody needs to make a motion to adopt the Robert's Rules of Order. So is there a motion to adopt Robert's Rules of Order? Mike Burnett first. Any second? Second. Josh Mattson second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Robert's rules are governing. Before we read this, I was just going to kind of make a statement here just so everybody is aware. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight on this historic night. There's many faces here, some from our township and many are not. There will be some time for questions during the public comment period shortly, and once we're in discussion about the resolution and initiative. Before we begin, a few important reminders. Only registered electors of Little Rock Township may vote in this initiative tonight. If you're a qualified voter here, please make sure that you've signed in and checked in with the township clerk so that everything is done openly and according to the frame and form of law. This meeting is being recorded. We expect that many people across Illinois will watch it. Some people might even be live streaming as we speak. So what we do here today might serve as a model for other townships. During comment and discussion, everyone has a right to speak, but we must keep everything peaceable, decent, and orderly. I trust we won't have any issues, as I believe we're all here to protect our community. We'll take turns so that everyone who wishes to speak has an opportunity, and we ask that you speak into the microphone so everyone could hear what's being said. I believe there's another microphone we can pass around here. We politely ask our friends from outside the township to please allow the people of Little Rock Township to speak first so we can hear from those directly affected. But of course, once the meeting adjourns, everybody can talk with one another. This process will take some time. After all, we're challenging at least 55 years or more of wrongful government. So we need to first establish by resolution why we can do what we're doing tonight. We need to read the full document and carefully go over the definitions, because we need to know what we're doing and that it's true. You'll notice that none of the people voting tonight are required to swear an oath like our public servants do when they pass laws locally or downstate in Springfield. All of them have taken oaths of office to be able to vote on things. This should remind us of a fundamental truth, that we the people are sovereign, both individually and collectively. We're not subjects, we are the masters of government. We elect trustees and public servants. Those servants must take an oath to the constitutions, but the people, as the creators of government, do not. I myself had to swear an oath to serve as your moderator, and that oath requires me to ensure that everything is done decently, in order, and according to the constitutions as the rule and decision, and that's exactly what I intend to do. Tonight I'm simply your servant, reading what the people have written and propose to become law, so that you, the electors, and the people can review it with full disclosure and decide whether to enact it. So thank you for your patience and attention and cooperation as we proceed in the light, openly, and with nothing to hide. So with that, we'll start to, we don't need a motion to present this since it's already on the agenda. So I'm going to begin to read it, but there's some definitions and stuff. Mike, would you mind coming up just to help read some of the definitions as we go through them? Maybe we could grab you a
Yeah, I
chair.
was going to say, want to grab that chair? I'll scooch down.
Should I take that mic over there?
Yeah, that would be good. All right, so we'll read the whole document. It's going to take some time. Little Rock Township Special Meeting, May 5th, 2026. Resolution number 20260505. A resolution and local initiative asserting the sovereignty and autonomy of Little Rock Township and enacting local law to regulate data centers within Little Rock Township to be presented to the people via election. And it begins, the good people of Little Rock Township, Illinois, lawfully and peaceably assembled in exercise of their sovereign powers under Article 1, Section 1 of the Illinois Constitution of 1970. The Republican form of government, as defined in Black's Law, 4th edition, page 824. Would you mind reading that?
Republican government, one in which the powers of sovereignty are vested in the people and are exercised by the people, either directly or through representatives chosen by the people, to whom those powers are specially delegated.
And these are guaranteed by Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution. Would you read that, please? In the pink.
Section 4, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence.
And the powers reserved by the 9th and 10th Amendments of the United States Constitution.
I'm sorry.
9th and 10th, keep flipping. Should have been dog-eared.
Oh, that's fine.
I'll find it quick. Oh, there you go.
It's fourth.
Keep going. Yep, you're there. Sorry.
Sorry, 9th. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. 10th. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people.
And the laws of nature and of nature's God hereby reaffirm their authority to govern their township affairs by regulating commerce to protect their community's healthful environment, property rights, character, and determine public good by initiative. Could you read the definition of initiative?
Initiative, the power of the people to propose bills and laws and to enact or reject them at the polls, independent of legislative assembly.
Whereas on June 26, 2025, the people of Little Rock Township duly adopted Resolution 2025-0626, titled, A Resolution Asserting the Sovereignty of the People, Township Autonomy, and enacting an ordinance to prohibit commercial wind and solar energy facilities on public and commercial property within Little Rock Township, which comprehensively establishes the foundational authority, rights, and powers of the township and its people. And whereas the authorities, findings, declarations, and lawful principles and maxims solely affirmed by Resolution 2025-0626 remain in full force and effect, and provide a complete and sufficient constitutional and lawful foundation for the people of Little Rock Township to exercise their powers on all matters of local public good. And the people hereby incorporate Resolution 2025-0626 by reference as though fully set forth herein. And the definition of maxim from Black's Law, 3rd edition, page 1171.
Maxim, an established principle or proposition, a principle of law universally admitted as being a correct statement of the law or as agreeable to reason. Koch defines a maxim to be conclusion of reason. He says in another place, a maxim is a proposition to be of all men confessed and granted without proof, argument, or discourse. The maxims of the law will be found distributed through this book in their proper alphabetical order.
And that book is Black's Law Dictionary. Whereas the people of Little Rock Township are at liberty, enjoying every power, jurisdiction, and right pertaining thereto, and are free to publicly assemble in a lawful and peaceable manner to deliver their collective opinion, that is the settled judgment of the people. Can you read Illinois Constitution 1970, Article 1, Section 5?
The right to assemble and petition. The people have the right to assemble in a peaceable manner, to consult for the common good, to make known their opinions to their representatives, and to apply for redress of grievances.
And the definition of opinion from Webster's 1828 dictionary, point number 3.
Settled judgment or persuasion as religious opinions or political opinion.
Whereas it is fundamental in American law that all political power is inherent in the people. The people's rights derive by the decree of Almighty God, the same Almighty God in our state constitution's preamble, and all free government derives its authority from the people as inherent lawgivers. And the maxim, quote, the people is the greatest master of error, as shown in Black's Law, 4th edition, page 1131.
The people is the greatest master of error.
Whereas among these rights are enjoyment of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, possessing and protecting property, the people have a right to require of their public servants an exact and constant observance of the fundamental principles of the constitutions. These rights cannot endure unless the people recognize their corresponding obligations and responsibilities to recur to these fundamental principles that compel our public servants to be at all times amenable to the people. And that amenable, Black's Law, 4th edition, page 106.
Subject to answer to the law, accountable, responsible, liable to punishment.
And Illinois Constitution 1970, Article 1, Section 23.
Fundamental principles. A frequent recurrence to the fundamental principles of civil government is necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty. These blessings cannot endure unless the people recognize their corresponding individual obligations and responsibilities.
Whereas Justice Gorsuch of the United States Supreme Court reminds the people that the court has no authority to depart from what the Constitution or laws of the United States ordain, and says, quote, instead, the Constitution promises the American people are sovereign, and they alone may, through democratically responsive processes, amend our foundational charter or revise federal legislation, end quote. That's from Loper Bright Enterprises versus Raimondo on June 28, 2024. The same being true about our state government. Now, you don't have to read that because it's quoted, I suppose.
Okay.
Whereas the purpose and maintenance and administration of government is to secure the existence of the body politic, to protect it, and to furnish the individuals who compose it with the power of enjoying safety and tranquility, their natural rights and the blessings of life, And whenever these great objects are not obtained, the people have a right to take measures necessary for their safety, prosperity, and happiness. And whereas it is a fundamental principle and maxim of law that the derivative power cannot be greater than the original from which it is derived. Black's Law, 4th edition, page 530.
The power which is derived cannot be greater than that form from which it is derived.
Whereas the township was created by the people using their guaranteed constitutional rights, these rights are not subject to legislative interference, absent a constitutional grant of power. And the definition of constitutional right, Black's Law, 4th edition, page 385.
A constitutional right is a right guaranteed to the citizens by the Constitution and so guaranteed as to prevent legislative interference therewith.
Whereas the prominent writings of Alexis de Tocqueville states, the township is, quote, the township is the only association that is so much a part of nature that whenever men gather together, a town takes shape by itself. Township society exists, therefore, among all peoples, no matter what their customs and their laws. It is man who establishes kingdoms and creates republics. The township seems to come directly from the hands of God. That's from Democracy in America, chapter 4, page 101. Go ahead and read that.
The town is the only association that is so much a part of nature that wherever men are gathered together, a town takes shape by itself. Town society exists, therefore, among all peoples, no matter what their customs and their laws. It is a man who establishes kingdoms and creates republics. The town seems to come directly from the hands of God.
Whereas John Locke, an English philosopher whose writings were highly influential in the creation of this nation's constitutions and the Declaration of Independence, wrote that governments dissolve when the legislative acts contrary to their trust, and for the legislative acts against the trust reposed in them endeavor to invade the property of the subject and to make themselves or any part of the community masters or arbitrary disposers of lives, liberty, or the fortunes of people. That's from Two Treatises of Government, chapter 19, section 221. I guess I just read the quote, so we don't have to read that again. We did that before, sorry.
It's okay.
Whereas government has been granted specific power in specified forms and is not permitted to make any adjustment upon what the people have granted or reserved, and the constitutions are the written instrument agreed upon by the people as the absolute rule of action and decision for all departments and officers of government. Black's Law, 4th edition, page 1421.
That which is granted or reserved in a certain specified form must be taken as it is granted and will not be permitted to be made the subject of any adjustment or compensation on the part of the grantee.
And the definition of Constitution, Black's Law, 4th edition, page 385.
In American law, the written instrument agreed upon by the people of the Union or of a particular state as the absolute rule of action and decision for all departments and officers of the government in respect to all the points covered by it, which must control until it shall be changed by the authority which established it, and in opposition to which any act or ordinance of any such department or officer is null and void.
Whereas government has, over a long period of time, repeatedly exceeded their jurisdiction by legislating and enforcing legislation that is directly prohibited in the Illinois constitutions and contrary to or in error of the fundamental principles of law. This is maladministration leading to breach of trust. And whereas Illinois government is expressly prohibited from making special privileges or immunities without constitutional grants of power in recent history for data centers, for commercial data centers. Illinois Constitution, 1970 Constitution, Article 1, Section 16.
No ex post facto law or law impairing the obligation of contracts or making an irrevocable grant of special privileges or immunities shall be passed.
And Article 4, Section 13 from the 1970.
The General Assembly shall pass no special or local law when a general law is or can be made applicable. Whether a general law is or can be made applicable shall be a matter for judicial determination.
And Illinois 1870 Constitution, Article 4, Section 22. That should be this one.
Working on it.
There's all of the enumerations there. We only need to do the highlighted ones.
Okay. Okay, special legislation is prohibited. Want the whole 22?
Just the highlighted ones.
From regulating county and township affairs,
And then flip, and there's another one.
or granting to any corporation, association, or individual any special or exclusive privilege, immunity, or franchise, whatever. In all other cases where a general law can be made applicable, no special law shall be enacted.
And whereas the people of Illinois continued the township and county under township form in the 1970 Illinois Constitution from the 1870 Illinois Constitution. And this is in the Illinois 1970 Constitution transition schedule preamble. You're going to need this one.
That one.
The transition schedule preamble. Keep going towards the back.
Aha. The following schedule provisions shall remain part of this Constitution until their terms have been executed. Once each year, the Attorney General shall review the following provisions and certify to the Secretary of State which, if any, have been executed. Any provisions so certified shall hereafter be removed from the schedule and no longer published as part of this Constitution. Section 1, removed. Section 2, prospective operation of Bill of Rights. Section 3, removed. Section 4, judicial offices. Section 5, local government. Section 6, authorized bonds. Section 7 was removed. Section 8, cumulative voting for directors. Section 9, general transition. Section 10 was removed.
And read Section 5, please.
Local government, the number of members of a community board in a country which, as of the effective date of this Constitution, elects 3 members at large, may be changed only as approved by county-wide referendum. If the number of members of such county board is changed by county-wide referendum, the provisions of Section 3A of Article 7 relating to the number of members of county board shall govern thereafter.
Oh, we don't need to read Section B, but Section C?
Section C, townships in existence on the effective date of this Constitution are continued until consolidated, merged, divided, or dissolved in accordance with Section 5 of Article 7.
And Section 9?
General transition. The rights and duties of all public bodies shall remain as if this Constitution had not been adopted, with the exception of such changes as are contained in this Constitution. All laws, ordinances, regulations, and rules of court not contrary to or inconsistent with the provisions of this Constitution shall remain in force until they shall expire by their own limitation or shall be altered or repealed pursuant to this Constitution. The validity of all public and private bonds, debts, and contracts, and of all suits, actions, and rights of action shall continue as if no change had taken place. All officers filling any office by election or appointment shall continue to exercise the duties thereof until their offices have been abolished or their successors elected and qualified in accordance with this Constitution or laws enacted pursuant thereto.
And whereas there is no expressed abolition of the Illinois 1870 Constitution or the expressed prohibitions upon the General Assembly from the 1870 Constitution, Article 4, Section 22, in the Illinois 1970 Constitution, it is a fundamental principle that implied repeals are not favored in law, rendering legislation of constitutionally prohibited things notwithstanding. And whereas the doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive to the good and happiness of mankind, compelling the people by necessity. And whereas commercial data centers proposed on public property or on property used for commercial purposes within Little Rock Township, endangering the township's health, safety, morals, comfort, general welfare, values of property throughout the township, domestic tranquility, common benefit, and the overall happiness and security of the people and their posterity. And whereas the people of Little Rock Township have determined that the existing statutory application, review, and public hearing processes before county or municipal bodies are inadequate to protect the rights and property of the people, as final approval currently rests with governmental servants and boards rather than the collective will of the people. And whereas it is the people's opinion and settled judgment that the township and the people thereof are the source of power within the township, the state of Illinois only has jurisdiction pursuant to constitutional grants of power as is expressly prohibited from regulating township affairs or general laws inconsistent with the purpose of government. All municipalities, units of local government, or other government entities are subject to the people's will within the boundaries of the township. And whereas the people of Little Rock Township, in exercise of their inherent rights and power of initiative, by right, may duly assemble to regulate commerce and land use on public and commercial property within our community. We declare that after completion of all existing statutory processes that are pursuant to constitutional constraints and public hearings, any proposal for a commercial data center shall be subjected to final approval or denial by the people through a special election, ensuring that no such facility shall be permitted without the express consent of a majority of the total electors of the township to make the final determination if it serves the public good. And whereas the people have reserved the right to require full transparency of all application documents, studies, contracts, agreements, all correspondence, non-disclosure agreements, and related materials for public review prior to any election without redactions. Now therefore, be it resolved by the people of Little Rock Township, Kendall County, Illinois, at a lawful meeting held on May 5th, on the 5th day of May, 2026, relying upon the authority established in fundamental and organic law at the formation of the township in 1849, upon the prohibitions against the General Assembly expressed in the Illinois Constitution of 1870, Article 4, Section 22, and continued through the transition schedule of the Illinois Constitution of 1970, Article 4, Section 13 thereof, and the absence of an expressed abolition for the Illinois Constitution of 1870, as affirmed in Resolution 2025-0626 and incorporated herein by reference as follows. Affirmation of Township Formation and Authority. Little Rock Township, formed by the people in 1849, placed Kendall County under township authority, establishing a county under township form of government with a board of township supervisors, and remains the law of the township and county as enacted by the people's will, with all prior affirmations of sovereignty, independence, prohibitions for the General Assembly, and a right to a healthful environment, domestic tranquility, and the protection of property and environment are hereby reaffirmed and incorporated. Legislative enactments which do not comport with the constitutions and the grants or prohibitions they contain, notwithstanding. Therefore, the following local law, by initiative and necessity, is presented to the people of Little Rock Township for their consideration and enactment. That's the end of the resolution, and now it goes into Little Rock Township Ordinance number 20260505. A local law regulating public property and requiring special election approval for commercial data centers on public and commercial property within Little Rock Township to protect the private property and rights of the people using their power of initiative. Section 1. Regulation of public property. Public property within Little Rock Township may be regulated by the people or through their elected officials pursuant to the free and independent authority expressed in Article 1, Section 1 of the Illinois Constitution of 1970 and the Township's formation, 1849. The people of the Township acknowledge the limitations of power for this local law are the boundaries of the Township as a self-governing political subdivision of the state, and their power for this enactment is limited to governmental subjects of public property, property used for commercial purposes, and statutory creations. And we reference Illinois 1970 Constitution, Article 2, Section 2. Illinois.
Give me one moment.
You're right there. Article 2, Section
Section 2, powers of government. The enumeration in this Constitution of specified powers and functions shall not be construed as a limitation of powers of state government.
And the definition of state in Black's Law 4th edition, page 1578.
A people permanently occupying a fixed territory bound together by common law, habits, and customs into one body politic, exercising through the medium of an organized government, independent sovereignty and control over all persons and things within its boundaries.
And Article 7, Section 1 of the Illinois Constitution.
Municipalities and units of local government. Municipalities means cities, villages, and incorporated towns. Units of local government means counties, municipalities, townships, special districts, and units designated as units of local government by law, which exercise limited governmental power or powers in respect to limited governmental subjects, but does not include school districts.
This power does not extend to the private property or rights which are accepted out of the general powers of government expressed in the Bill of Rights, Illinois Constitution, Article 1, and shall forever remain inviolate, and all laws and rulemaking contrary thereto or to the following provisions shall be void. Section 2, requirement for special election approval. No commercial data center shall be permitted, constructed, or operated on public property or on property used for commercial purposes within the boundaries of Little Rock Township, including other units of local government and municipalities, unless and until the applicant has fully completed all applicable statutory processes required by state and local law, and the proposal has thereafter received approval by initiative in a special election of the people within Little Rock Township as provided herein. For the purposes of this local law, quote, commercial data center means any facility primarily used for the storage, processing, or transmission of electronic data on a commercial or industrial scale, including but not limited to associated infrastructure as defined by law. Section 3, exclusion for private property. Government has been granted no power to regulate private property. Therefore, this local law shall not apply to the use of property intended solely for private, non-commercial use, provided such installations do not infringe on the rights of their neighbors in Little Rock Township following the course of common law. This local law shall not be used by any government entity as a basis for asserting constructive jurisdiction over the private property of the people. Equity follows the law. All other governmental entities within Little Rock Township are expressly subject to this local law unless they can show constitutional grants of power to the contrary when proposing or hosting commercial data centers on public or commercial property. Section 4, transparency and public review period. Upon culmination of the statutory process that is pursuant to the constitutions and all required public hearings, the township clerk shall cause to be posted on the township website a direct link or page hosting all finalized application documents, cited studies, contracts, agreements, correspondence between the applicant and any government bodies, officials, and attorneys, non-disclosure agreements, and any other documentation used during the application process. Such documents are public property, shall be finalized and not subject to any changes whatsoever, and shall not be redacted in any manner. The complete set of documents shall remain publicly available and posted for a minimum of 60 days immediately prior to the date of the special election to allow the people of the township full disclosure and opportunity for review to assess the public good and common benefit. Section 5, special election procedures. The township clerk shall have charge of and be responsible for conducting the special election and may work in coordination with the Kendall County clerk in accordance with the law. The election shall be held on a single Tuesday and shall be noticed, posted, and conducted only pursuant to those election laws of the state of Illinois that are in full conformity with the constitutions and the fundamental principles of law. The election shall be secure with all ballots cast in person. Electors shall be verified using government-issued identification confirming their residence within the boundaries of Little Rock Township in accordance with the law prior to receiving a ballot at a polling location. No mail-in ballots shall be used. Absentee ballots consistent with the history and tradition of elections may be utilized. Upon the closure of the polls, the election judges shall maintain a chain of custody and shall cause the sealed ballot boxes to be transported to a centralized public place of the township clerk's choosing. The counting of ballots shall be open to the public, performed by the election judges, and conducted under the oversight of the township clerk. The election judges shall swear by affidavit to the accuracy of the ballot count and the total results. The township clerk shall certify and publish an abstract of the returns of the election and shall record the abstract at length upon the records of the county with the county clerk. Existing legislative enactments that do not comport with the constitutions notwithstanding. The ballot question shall be clearly worded as follows. Quote, "The people have the inherent right to regulate commerce, public property, and property used for commercial purposes within their community to promote their happiness and maintain domestic tranquility by ensuring that this commercial use and activity serves the public good and benefits the community. Should the people of Little Rock Township extend the privilege of allowing the property at insert address or property description here to be used for a commercial data center, and the votes shall be recorded as yes or no. If there are multiple applicants, each applicant shall be listed as a separate ballot question." Section 6, applicant responsibility for special election costs. The applicant shall pay the township for the actual and necessary costs of conducting the special election, including but not limited to the cost of printing and distributing ballots to polling locations and other printed material, compensation paid to judges of election, extra office expenses of the election authority, and all other associated costs. The township clerk shall be charged with calculating the cost of the special election. Payment shall be made in full prior to the scheduling of the election. If there are multiple applicants, the cost of the special election may be shared between applicants equally. If a general election is held in conformity to the constitutions as expressed in Section 5 of this local law, then applicants may choose to wait for the next general election, thereby waiving the provisions for payment in this section. Section 7, special election results. Approval of any commercial data center shall require a vote in favor of greater than 50% of the total number of registered electors within Little Rock Township. Failure of any registered elector to vote shall be counted as a vote against or no. Consistent with the historical customs and authority of the people of the township to decide matters of local concern by direct vote. Upon conclusion of the election, the decision rendered by the people shall be binding and final upon every government entity, officer, and agent, with no discretion to alter, disregard, or evade the collective will of the people, once expressed on the ballot using their inherent and collective sovereignty. For when the people have spoken, their voice is the supreme and unalterable law, unless or until they decide to alter or repeal it in the manner which it was created. The special election and initiative shall not be construed as a, quote, advisory referenda. Section 8, purpose. This local law is enacted to protect the township's health, safety, morals, general welfare, values of property throughout the township, domestic tranquility, common benefit, and overall happiness and security of the people and their posterity in Little Rock Township, as expressed in the preamble and mandated by Article 11, Section 1 of the Illinois 1970 Constitution.
The public policy of the state and the duty of each person is to provide and maintain a healthful environment for the benefit of this and future generations. The General Assembly shall provide by law for the implementation and enforcement of this public policy.
The intent is to protect private property, rights of the people expressed in Article 1, Sections 1, 2, 15, and 24 of the 1970 Constitution, and to guard against the pernicious influence of private interest upon public measures, whereby those in whom the people have reposed their sacred trust may be tempted to sacrifice the public good for private emolument or offer special privileges or immunity in permitting commercial data centers, contrary to the fundamental principle that governments are instituted among men solely for the welfare of the people, by ensuring that the people themselves render the final decision after full disclosure on whether commercial data centers on public and commercial property are for the general public good and benefit the whole community. Section 9, enforcement. This local law has been created by the people of Little Rock Township in their sovereign status. If any legislation or rulemaking are in place that interfere with this constitutional right to make local law, government servants and trustees shall consider this local law as supreme in accordance with the fundamental principle of American law that the people have all political power. This local law is not intended to be utilized to trespass the rights of any of the people and shall be used only to regulate statutory entities or properties used for commercial data centers. The Little Rock Township Board and constitutional county officers are instructed to enforce this local law through all available lawful and legal means. Government servants and entities shall understand that the people of this state shall have the sole and exclusive right of governing themselves as a free, sovereign, and independent, and do forever hereafter exercise and enjoy every power, jurisdiction, and right pertaining thereto. And that's Illinois 1970 Constitution, Article 1, Section 24.
The enumeration in this Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the individual citizens of the state.
Section 10, severability and alteration. If any provision of this local law is found invalid pursuant to the fundamental principles of law and the American constitutions, the remaining provisions shall remain in full force and effect. This local law shall only be repealed, altered, or amended by the people of Little Rock Township duly assembled. Section 11, effective date. This local law shall take effect immediately by necessity upon its adoption. Any commercial data center applicants that have not received final approval are subject to this local law. Be it resolved that the Little Rock Township Clerk shall publish this resolution and ordinance on the Township website with distribution to local media, digital and printed, in conformity with the law, and immediately provide written notice to the Illinois General Assembly, Illinois State Governor, and to each government entity that regulates public and commercial uses for property within the township's boundaries. The people may receive copies upon request to the township clerk without fee, pursuant to the fundamental philosophy of American constitutional government. Be it further resolved that any government entity or person attempting to enforce law within Little Rock Township without showing clear constitutional grants of power shall be met with the due process of law to defend the township's constitutional autonomy and the protection of the people's rights, property, and posterity. All power residing originally in and being derived from the people, all the magistrates and officers of government are their servants and trustees, and at all times amenable to them. If any legal action arises, all government persons and agents shall take notice they are bound with trust reposed in them by the people and for the people as beneficiaries. And the people's rights are self-executing causes of action. Government being instituted for the common benefit, protection, and security of the whole community, and not for private interest or emolument. I'll wait for the train. Government being instituted for the common benefit, protection, and security of the whole community, and not for the private interest or emolument of one man, family, or class of men. Therefore, whenever the ends of government are perverted and public liberty manifestly endangered, and other means of redress are ineffectual, the people may, and of right, utilize their power of initiative to safeguard their community and posterity, needing no permission to take action to collectively defend against the danger or the potential of danger. The enactment of this local law and any subsequent special elections is the established law of the township, supported by the maxim, quote, "What the people have last enacted, let that be the established law. A law of the 12 tables, the principle which is still recognized." Black's Law, 4th edition, page 1420. Be it enacted by the good people of Little Rock Township in exercise of their original powers, this resolution and local law by initiative is passed or rejected, Circle 1, by the people and their collective sovereignty being duly assembled at the Little Rock Township meeting, Kendall County, Illinois, with a vote of, and then we record the yeas or nays. So that concludes the reading. And now we can have discussion if there's people that want to have discussion or comments about anything on it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Did you guys outline specifically what a data center is?
The definition is given. Means any facility primarily used for the storage, processing, or transmission of electronic data on a commercial or industrial scale, including but not limited to associated infrastructure as defined by law.
Okay.
I believe that was taken from the definition that they're already using in the state statutes and stuff.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure, because I know that warehouses and stuff have their own data centers in there, let their own data.
Correct.
Didn't want to-
And it's not primarily used for that.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any?
There's one at the back. Should I take him a mic?
Good. Yeah, let's do it, Mike.
You need them to sign in prior to vote?
Yes.
If anybody hasn't signed in, can they
Yes.
sign in still?
Maybe motion for that to be allowed to have a break to sign in?
We can do that. We can do that. That's a good call. At the conclusion of our comment section, a discussion section, somebody will have to make a motion to be able to do that, where we can open it back up for people to sign in that haven't. But let's continue with discussion right now if anybody has any questions.
Did I hear you correctly that you didn't vote?
Can you just give, just so she can hear, so we can hear.
Hi, sorry. Did I hear you correctly that if someone in the township does not vote, it's counted as a no vote?
That's how it's written in here, yes.
Perfect, okay.
Yep. Yeah, just for clarity for everybody, it's written according to the way that things used to be done in Illinois, to where if you don't vote, it counts as a no. It's not this new way of voting where it's just 50% of the people that voted. But if that means that the people don't have to, if you don't want to even bother with going to vote, you don't have to because it counts as a no. So this would cause a data center or to have to really promote what they're doing to the community to get the community to come out and actually want to vote for it. Another question here?
Hey, pardon my ignorance, but
Could you speak up? The mics aren't working.
testing.
There we go.
Pardon my ignorance, but is the 12 data centers, around Cardinal and everything, is that all in Little Rock?
The ones that are going on in Yorkville you're talking
Is that all
about?
Yorkville?
That's on the, I think that's Bristol Township side of El
Okay.
Domain. So that doesn't apply to Little Rock Township. We're getting out ahead of the issue.
I understand.
But the
Okay.
people of Bristol Township could come together and do this same thing.
Right. So the Yorkville ones, it's a done deal and that is happening?
I don't know that we can speak for that.
Right. I understand.
That being said, the people could certainly assemble like we're doing here and address the issue in the
Okay.
same manner.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Just one more question, I guess. So will this still apply as a township vote if the town of Plano annexes certain properties into the town of Plano? And it isn't then considered township land?
That's the fundamental thing that we're actually trying to get back to and correct, because what's been happening is the townships really have the power of the people, just like what we're doing here. But then the workaround for it is that they've made people think that, well, you just annex into the city and then the city has jurisdiction, when that's, according to the fundamental law, that's actually not accurate. And the township is the voice of the people, even within the city limits. Because the people of the township are the people of the city and outside of the city. And a city is a municipality, which is just simply a service provider. And so, just like in the past, they've had the county write different things, and then the cities can't do stuff, except what was discovered is that Kendall County and many other counties in Illinois are supposed to be counties under township form, which means that you don't have a county board separately elected like we do now. It's supposed to be the supervisor from every township. The townships elect their supervisor, and then the supervisors make up the county board. So the county board that we have is sitting in seats that were never created by the people. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense, but I guess my question is then what the vote is for tonight. then we go to vote on if a data center can come or go in the township. Will that supersede what the town of Plano has annexed land for?
That
Will
is,
it give the township precedent over the city of Plano?
that is exactly what was written into this document,
Okay.
because the people are the voice of authority. And so you don't even really have to have the discussion of whether it supersedes or not. If the people of the township have spoken, that includes the city of Plano as well.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Okay. We're just trying to make sure everyone can hear though.
And online.
All right, so in that vein, do people who reside inside Plano get to vote on this, or just the people who reside in the township?
Yes, that's one thing that's kind of a confusing thing that we haven't been taught. It doesn't matter if you live in the city of Plano, you still are in the township, and so you still can vote. Because technically, I believe there's even some of the city of Sandwich, a little corner of Sandwich, and is there a little bit of Yorkville, or no? Dan, you might know that. I think
That's unincorporated.
yeah, so the boundaries of Little Rock Township include all of the city of Plano. And they all can vote for it. Anybody else? All right. It sounds like we should take a motion to close discussion.
I have one question. I think I can talk about it now. The proposed data center, is there one proposed? Would it be on the Elder Main corridor? Is that what we're thinking?
To my knowledge, there's no data center actually proposed inside Little Rock Township at the time.
Because with the solar farms, that's all private property, but they want to put it out there. According to what you're saying, it's really not going to work for us if it's on private property.
That's the fundamental misunderstanding that we've been having with our government servants. I've even heard in Will County, they're telling them that they have to vote, in the county board there has to vote in favor of this because they can't trespass the rights of these data centers. The fundamental misunderstanding is what is public and what is private property. Even if Farmer Bob owns his field and he wants to build a data center on it, if it's going to be for his own private use, then that's fine. There's a difference between the use of property and the ownership of property. And so the fundamental misunderstanding is that when Jim owns his private land, he can do with it what he wants. But if Jim decides to use his private land for commercial purposes, it now becomes regulated by government and public entities. So that's the fundamental misunderstanding where our public servants are getting lied to, telling them that they're going to trespass the rights of these corporations, because technically, corporations don't have rights, they have privileges. The people have rights which are inherent. A statutory creation of a corporation has privileges. Those can be regulated. Does that make sense?
So it would be the same deal then with the solar panels.
And we already did the solar prohibition altogether. Go ahead.
Sorry, so just to piggyback off of what he was asking, from my understanding from going to some of the city council meetings, there may or may not be open negotiations for a Microsoft data center within the Elderman corridor. Now, if that is proposed by Microsoft, nothing's on the books, from what I understand, it's still in talks, but they are talking about developing an entire industrial park for, with the building of the data center. So then, if we vote against the data center, does that also vote against the industrial park if they so choose to build the industrial park? Or would that vote come before or after they build the industrial park?
What we are voting on today is strictly for data centers. So if it's whatever, if it's Microsoft that owns property, if they're going to use it for something different, that's not addressed by this. But if they're going to use it for a data center, the primary use as the definition that we gave, then they would have to, they can go through all of the statutory process, but at the end of that, the culmination of it is it has to go to public review for 60 days and then go to the special election or the general election as defined. So the beauty of this document, as I read it, is that we the people don't really have to do anything. We don't even have to go to all of these meetings where our government entities are working out all the details of this stuff. Because whatever they come up with at the end of that process, they have to make it appealable to the people for the people to want to go out and vote for it. And if they don't do that, then you don't have to go to any of the meetings, and you don't even have to go and vote. Because that's how the fundamental law and our constitutions were intended to be. All right. Do we have a motion to close discussion?
I'll make a motion to close discussion.
Mike Burnett, motion to close. A second? Second, Jonathan Henderson. All vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries to close discussion. Is there a motion to reopen registration to vote?
I'll make a motion to reopen registration to vote.
Mike Burnett has a first. Is there a second? Nikki Diaz. Oh, you can't second it yet.
Someone with a green card.
All right. Jonathan Henderson seconds it. All right. Well, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. So we can open up registration. We'll take just a moment. If you live in Little Rock Township and are registered to vote, but you haven't checked in to get your green card to vote, please come up and check in with the clerk.
Is there anybody that needs to register?
You are registered.
What? Oh, Herb's coming in.
Great. Last name?
Well,
First name?
Charles.
Address? Boom. Oh, sorry. Here, look. I'll see what you know.
I dismissed.
Thank you.
Are we needing this now? The farther it is away from you, less
All right, we good? Yeah, right.
My name is Joanna.
All right, let's call the meeting back to order. All right, so we need a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-0505 and local law regulating public property and requiring special election approval for commercial data centers and public and commercial property within Little Rock Township to protect the private property and rights of the people using their power of initiative. Ordinance number 2026-0505 as written. Is there a motion? Dan Miller is the first, and Mike Burnett is second. All right. Now let's make sure we do this orderly. We're going to vote. Please hold up your green card so we have a chance to count them all. We'll count independently and see if we arrive at the same number. So all in favor, raise your green card in favor of. I got 51.
I got 53.
Okay, hang on, we're okay. We can reconcile it against that.
That's true.
All right, any opposed? All right, none opposed, motion carries. We'll reconcile the exact count with the book.
I think we actually had more than I counted because I just noticed a few more. But, so I've changed my count to 55.
Just turn the cards back and then count
Yeah, there we go.
I like this idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right.
That's really good.
We're sufficient because we have all in favor and none against, so we'll get the final count. If you bring your cards back up, we'll tally up the final count.
Yep.
But motion carries. That's what we're gonna reconcile it against that. And with that being said, we have nothing else on the agenda, so we need a motion to adjourn. What's your name, sir?
Jim Hill.
Jim Hill. Motion to adjourn. A second? Second. Who's that back there? Nikki Diaz, second. All in favor of adjourning by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. All right.